Your host for the Ghost, Bounce Ball Boogie Woogie. Boogie Bang Radio, only on Bounce 107. As promised, I always deliver. I have the amazing Sean Ennis of Ennis Management on the line with me. Can you hear me, Sean?
Yes, sir. How are you?
Good, good. How you feeling tonight?
Oh, I'm feeling great. And I want to say, first of all, thank you so much for having me on your platform. You know, you're an artist and a brand that I really respect because of how much I see you putting in, not only with your music, your videos. You're always out doing live events. You got your charity stuff, as well as your radio. So I certainly think that you're an artist that other up-and-coming artists could emulate as far as the work ethic.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that a lot. I mean, it means a lot coming from you because I see the same thing. From an artist's perspective, at you as a manager and kind of working behind the scenes, I guess you could say, you do a lot. And not only do you do a lot, but you put a lot of knowledge out there that people are seeking and don't know where to find it. So I appreciate you doing that as well.
Thank you so much. And you're right. You know, I think an area that I seek to fill is a role that the labels sort of abandon. That's artist development.
Right.
A lot of artists, when they're starting out, they're not really sure of, you know, what's the first steps that they should really take. A lot of them are not familiar with, you know, what's a performance rights organization, BMI and ASCAP. And for anyone listening, you know, that doesn't know, BMI and ASCAP, they're a performance rights organization, and their job is to collect and pay money to artists, you know, when your music is streamed, when people watch your music videos on YouTube, when your music plays on the radio, movies, televisions, video games, and also some artists may not know this, some do, some don't, but you're also entitled to live performances as well, depending on whether you're registered with ASCAP or BMI. What you need to do is register your performances, the venue that you performed at, or just register your set list.
No, absolutely. And that's one thing I try to focus on as well as an artist, trying to target myself into venues that also participate as I guess you could say a registered venue for ASCAP and BMI.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, any venue that plays the music that you hear on the radio buys into what's called a blanket license. So any you know, if any restaurant plays like music, any bars, nightclubs, they pay into the blanket license to be able to play that sort of music. If not, they would get fined. So most just do. So most venues that artists perform at pay into the blanket license, and artists are then entitled to their live performance royalties.
That's amazing. And I mean, a lot of up-and-coming artists don't even know about that. So just us talking about that, I know it's going to help someone out there that's listening. So everyone, take notes. If you don't got your pens and papers out, you better get them out now because it's about to get more deep.
Let's go.
Yo, so I mean, just talking about that, and I know looking at bigger artists that have a global outlook, such as Nicki Minaj. You can even take Tekashi 6ix9ine because those two artists are hot right now. Drake, they all point themselves into large arenas, large coliseums, and these promoters that are attached to it all are a part of those type of affiliations with ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, and it even goes more in depth from different countries.
Absolutely, 100%. And something that you mentioned about artists that do a lot of touring, I think a lot of up-and-coming artists could really learn from following the model of these more established artists, and that is merchandise. Merchandise is such a huge income stream for artists that are out on the road, and as an up-and-coming artist, not only can you have your merchandise with you on the road, but in this day and age, every artist that's serious about their music career should really have a personal website that is a home for all your content. your music videos, your music, and of course, it gives you a home base to sell your merchandise from as well.
Absolutely. I mean, merchandise is a huge player when it comes to generating an income, especially being independent. And that's where I found myself, I'm talking about myself, made a lot of mistakes in the beginning because I would go hype up my audience. I would sell tickets, hand out flyers on the streets. I'd perform, I have a good turnout. And being I'm a kind of a bigger guy, after my performance, I'm sweaty, I'm hot, and I would make the mistake of running out the back to go outside. And the biggest thing I learned is to kind of suck it up, get to that merch booth, and start taking pictures and getting autographs out there, trying to sell the merchandise, the CDs, whatever I got, because that's when people are wanting to do it, is right when you get off the stage.
Absolutely, and you touched on it as well. It's a huge networking event. As musicians, you really never know who's going to be in the audience. You could be speaking to someone that's an owner of another venue, another DJ, another artist that you could possibly collaborate with and possibly lead to some other performances in the future as well.
You said something right there is kind of a key word for me, is that you never know who's going to be there. Maybe a month or two ago, we did a performance at a local bar. I mean, it's nothing too fancy, just something we could throw like a house party type event. And there was another owner of a venue, of a nightclub, that was there that night and saw what we did, saw the turnout we had. And that was the benefit we just did last week. And it was even bigger. It was a bigger turnout because they had their audience and we brought our audience. And that's when we did the charity event, which just brought a lot of attention to us. So that you definitely touched a nerve right there. You never know who's watching.
Absolutely. And that's such a great thing that you're so heavily involved with charity and giving back. That's certainly another area that I think a lot of up-and-coming artists could certainly emulate.
And you know, a lot of it is just values. For me personally, it's just values. Because one of the artists I look up to, always since I was a child growing up, was KRS-One. And KRS-One, he put out a message not too long ago to one of my good friends, G. Willikers, talking about hip-hop is culture. Do this for your culture. If you get good at what you're doing, that's when the money comes. But if you're doing it just for money, get out the way.
Right, absolutely. And KRS was certainly an artist that was very influential for me growing up in hip-hop as well.
You know? And so that's why I kind of keep my feet where I come from. I mean, in the streets of my city, Denver. And, of course, other artists are trying to do the same and trying to look at other ways they could probably do that. But one thing that always gets asked to me, Sean, you could probably help me out with this, is venues. Venues always have a booking fee, and some artists ask me, how do I get around that booking fee?
Sure. Well, I think there's a lot of different arrangements when it comes to performing at a venue. So the most ideal for most artists is that the venue pays them a fee to come and perform. Now, that fee is going to always be dependent on the draw that the artist is able to bring. And how you're able to convey to a venue that you're able to bring that draw is going to be your online presence, your personal website, the metrics from your music being streamed, the numbers from the views of your music videos, as well as your electronic press kit and your performance history. So the next probably ideal situation for an artist in terms of compensation from a performance would be some sort of door split, right?
Right.
And again, it's going to come down to the draw that you're able to bring to the venue. As the entertainment, you really have to look at, it's your job. And I know some artists don't really like this. Some artists feel like this really falls on the promoter, but this is the way it is. As a performing artist, it's your job to make that venue money, because that's how the venue is going to stay open and give you a place to showcase your craft to your audience.
Right, right.
Then the next kind of option in terms of performance would be ticket selling. Mm-hmm. Now, some artists have different opinions on the ticket selling for events.
Right.
But if there's an opportunity for you to make money in selling tickets, and you feel confident that you have a draw, that you can bring in 20, 25, 30 people, there should never be a problem with you selling tickets for $15 and keeping 5, or selling them for 15 and keeping 10, and getting your draw and getting your audience in there and building a good relationship with the venue.
Right. To kind of touch on that, everything you just outlined, like you said, your social media presence, how many views you're getting, everything that you're laying out there, that's basically an artist's resume. And in my opinion,
100%.
just having that business mindset that I have, what I did is I would approach the venue owner. I would set up a time, get on the phone and set up a time so I know when the owner is present. Go in there, shake hands, let them know who I was. This is what I'm doing. This is what the event's going to be targeted about. This is the numbers that I currently have. I can promise you this. Give me the venue. I'll take 100% the door. You keep 100% your bar. So now we both win 50-50.
Absolutely, and that's really a business-minded approach, and also being proactive in terms of pursuing performance opportunities. I speak to too many artists that are looking for someone to get them shows, and they're really hurting themselves by taking the sit back and sort of wait and see type of approach, when there are literally millions of stages in the United States, and on off nights, there's so many venues out there that would like 30, 40, 50 people, on a Tuesday through Thursday night. And then, like I said, if you can build a relationship with the venue owner, then maybe you could work to getting a Friday or Saturday night slot.
Right, and that's the thing, is that if you keep staying repetitive in those venues, say for example you're playing every other Tuesday, every other Wednesday or Thursday at this one spot, it might start out slow, but as it goes, you get that word of mouth buzz. So you start getting more of a local buzz, the more and more you see come out, and that's when I guess you could say when the owner's like, okay, let's test the water a little bit. Let's do a Friday night. Let's do a Saturday night. You know what I mean? You got to have that what do you call it, snowball effect.
Absolutely, and again, I think one of the most important things for up and coming artists is you got to get on the stage as much as you can. Not only to really solidify your live performance, but also to build up that performance history, because it's gonna be really difficult for a venue to give a new artist an opportunity. Mm-hmm. So you really have to go out there and create that performance history to give venues something to look at when they're considering booking you.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's where you were talking about earlier about the artist having that confidence to go out there and sell those tickets. Out here in Denver, and I'm sure you ran into this as well, Sean, in your city, is that artists are kind of boycotting having the term pay to play. And like you said, having that confidence and knowing you have a fan base and doing what we just said, having that repetitive every night, kind of having a home, an establishment where people know where you're going to be at, that's where that confidence comes from. But if you don't have that, what I always say to my artists that ask me that question, why do I need to pay to play, and they can't sell tickets, is because they're looking to their family. they're looking to their friends. And this is just my opinion, but in my opinion, friends and family are the last ones to support you. And maybe in the beginning they'll buy a ticket, but as you keep progressing, they're not going to want to, because they think they already did this. They already supported you. But I always say the strangers, the people you don't know, the people that you not have no exposure to you, and you walk out on the street and approach them, professionally, and present them with the opportunity to go to this event for this amount and put the tickets in their hands and show them it's real. That's the one that's going to support you, and that's how you're going to grow your audience. And that's just my opinion, but it's worked for me.
No, I certainly feel you're absolutely right in that regard. And now that music has changed over to the digital age,
right?
I think that going out in public and speaking to people you don't know, that's something that's certainly missing, because we're not in the age anymore where artists are printing up their CDs and going out and standing in front of the gas station or standing out in front of the mall or the mom and pop CD stores and handing out their CDs and really interacting with the public in that way. So I certainly think the interaction in public is an area where a lot of up-and-coming musicians just don't have the experience and the confidence to really get out there and network and try to sell tickets to complete strangers, just because they haven't had that experience putting out their music digitally.
Right. I mean, the biggest thing that I try to install in myself is that, yes, I'm an artist. Yes, I'm a musician. Yes, I'm a lyricist. But with everything put together, at the end of the day, after I walk out of that studio and I have 10, 12 songs in my hand, I have merchandise ready to be sold, in my mind, I have to install, I am now a business. I am a business. The only way I'm going to get money is if I go out there and sell. Only way I'm going to get more fans is if I go out there and network. If I don't have these two key elements, everything else is just going to be a flop, and everything's going to sit on the shelf, and I will never see anything increase. And I want increase. Every year I aim to get more and more and more and more. So I'm at the point where I no longer want to just stay in my own state. I want to now maneuver into other states and repeat that same process.
Right, absolutely. That growth is really important. And so, speaking of artists really looking at themselves in the business, I think it's also really important for artists to understand where an artist's revenue comes from, and understand that most artists, even the most popular headlining artists, don't strictly live off the money that they make from their music. So, of course, primarily the income is going to come from your music, and today that's primarily going to be money that you make off of streaming, royalties you receive from radio play, money that you make from your YouTube AdSense. Then the next thing that we touched on before is your merchandise. Merchandise is very, very important. The next stream of income, and this one is probably the most important, but that's the income that you make from your live performance. A lot of the most successful artists really are out there on the road probably up to 200 days per year. And then the next area is brand extension and sponsorship. So, beats by Dre, Wiz Khalifa, Rolling Papers, just anything that you can sort of brand extension, anything around the artist that a company feels will be a good partnership in branding and marketing and that relationships. Because one thing that popular artists have is a fan base that really wants to emulate them, and that's something that companies find really valuable.
Right, absolutely. And also, for an up-and-coming artist, and now that you have the mindset that you're not just an artist, you're a business, you have to look at who's around you. What other businesses are underground just as I am. There's underground tattoo parlors. There's up-and-coming fashion designers. There's up-and-coming wine creators. I mean, there's so many different elements you could find yourself into. You don't have to look at Pepsi. You don't have to look at Coca-Cola or Beats by Dre for a sponsorship. Look at these other upcoming businesses to sponsor you, because they're looking for exposure as well. If you're an artist out there performing and you're in the public, you're a walking billboard.
I've said that exact phrase in the past as well.
You know? So, anyway, cut to the chase. This is Sean Ennis, Ennis Management. Sean, let the people know what kind of services you offer and where they can find you.
Sure, absolutely. So, the way I really describe what I do is I'm a brand and marketing consultant / artist manager. And what I try to help artists do is connect, engage, and grow their personal brand with their audience. And some of the ways I do that is by working with them to help get their music heard and seen by influencers and fans. And then I also try to work with them to provide a structure for how artists engage with their social media. And you could certainly go to Facebook.com/Ennis Talent Management. I post daily tips, resources, and strategies for artists to use. I also post information regarding major label contracts, publishings, royalties, advances. I also post different resources that accept submissions for up-and-coming artists. You can also go to my website, that's ennistalentmanagement.com, and you can see the different services offered by my company. And if you would like to reach out to me directly, you can always contact me through ennisproductions@gmail.com.
That's Ennis, ENNIS.
Yes.
Man, that's superb, man. Like I said at the beginning of this interview, is that you always put out valuable tips, valuable advice. A lot of things I've seen you post are things that I paid to learn and just have the chance to read. So again, I do commend you greatly for putting that information out there. There's a lot of artists, like I said, don't know where to find that information. So I do appreciate that type of commodity.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
So that being said, Sean, if you have any last words, any shout-outs you want to give, this is your time to shine.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just give, a lot of people ask me, what would you say, what would be your advice for up-and-coming musicians? And so what I usually say is it's really important that you invest the time, effort, and money into learning what works in terms of the content that you create and put out that's going to connect with your audience. Once you find that content, that song, that music video, that vlog, that radio show, you'll be able to start to build a brand to where people are going to first want to support you with your eyes and ears, and then support you by actually purchasing your music, purchasing your merchandise, and then purchasing a ticket for your live performance. So that would be my piece of advice for any up-and-coming artists looking to grow their fan base.
No, absolutely. And one last time, what's that email they can reach you at if they have questions?
That is ennisproductions@gmail.com.
And make sure, if you heard this information through Boogie Bang Radio on Bounce 107, let them know that Boogie Bang Radio sent you to Ennis Management. Maybe hook you up with a discount. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
We'll see.
We'll see. All right, Sean, thank you so much for stopping by, bro. That's such an amazing conversation. I feel like I could talk for hours with you, but I don't want to overexpose.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
All right, Sean, appreciate your time. I'll catch up with you. Hey, we got to do one more favor for me.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to put the replay up here on Facebook. You got to do me one last favor.
What's that?
I need you to share this broadcast 23 times in 23 different places.
Oh, that is done.
Aha! Let's go! Sean Ennis, Ennis Management, Boogie Bang Radio on Bounce 107.